Good morning. Buenos dias.
They were just a bunch of kids.
We believe that the greatest resource that we have at our disposal is human. It's human potential. It's human capital. It's human talent. I don't think it's going to be an easy journey. I think it's going to require a lot of sort of soul searching. At a Building Healthy Communities convening of our partners in late 2012, there was a powerful aha moment.
I thought I was a tough guy till I came here today, man.
A crucial piece of the work we're doing together with our communities to make health happen here must acknowledge the trauma that our communities have suffered. Put simply, our job isn't only building parks and grocery stores.
Right. So we'll work with Sudetha to come up.
It isn't only engaging in policy and systems change.
What's working well? What have you found that's worked well in your communities?
If we truly want to transform communities, we have to start with healing.
We do all this work and frame it and try and put it in scopes of work and, make it evidence-based and, so write in proposals. But the reality is this is something that our ancestors have been doing since the beginning of time. What I call this is la cultura cura, or transformational healing. And we have to make a decision whether we're just, continuing what the system is doing, whether just providing services, or do we choose to be healers? And what I mean by that is, do you choose to do your own work first so that you can become a mirror when we see people that are hurting and all the system is saying they're broken and they're dysfunctional and messed up and jacked up and drugged up, that we can be such a mirror that in us they can see their sacredness.
Dr. Ken Hardy specializes in working with traumatized and oppressed populations. He set the tone for us.
So as we gather here and talk about transformation and collaboration, I think it begs us to talk about power and privilege. It is not possible to have a relationship where there's equal power. It sounds great. It makes for wonderful Hollywood movies, and they make great novels, but in our lived experience, power is never equally distributed. There's always one person, one group, one entity that has more than the other. In our society, there is no single corner of this universe where class doesn't matter. There's no corner of our universe where sexual orientation doesn't matter. There's no corner of our universe where race doesn't matter. There's no corner of our universe where gender doesn't matter, where ability doesn't matter, where ethnicity doesn't matter, where, quite frankly, where our families of origin don't matter. All these issues we drag into our relationships, and they affect our ability to effectively create collaborative relationships and also to transform systems and communities. I have a racial self. I'm black, and so my racial self provides me with a prism through which I see the world and which I believe I am seen. I have a gendered self. I have a sexual orientation self. I have a class self, a religious self, an ethnic self, a regional self. All of these selves, we have privileged selves and we have subjugated selves. So when I think about myself as a man in a patriarchal society, that's a privileged self. That self has privilege. When I think about myself as heterosexual, privileged self. Think about myself as middle class, privileged self. When I think about myself as African American, subjugated self. And if we haven't done that degree of exploration, I think it's very difficult for us to be of service to those we serve.
The journey of transformation begins by revealing ourselves to one another. It isn't easy work.
And I was sharing a story a few months ago when we were at a meeting and they were speaking about my neighborhood. And what I've heard from those other people were that it was a war zone. And for some reason, I just started crying. It affected because I knew that the people that I shake hands with and that I walk along with and that I see every morning, they have no hope.
It's about love, right? And I think we're all here because we love each other. We love our communities, we love our country, and we want to make a difference.
I am the daughter of immigrants, but but like I shared here, I somehow also see myself as privileged.
I'm a Pacific Islander. People ask me, what is that? Are you Samoan? And I said, no, I was born and raised in Hawaii by Portuguese father, Hawaiian mother. And sometimes you try to find your identity. It doesn't happen.
Even though we hold these different personalities and they may be addressed or someone may make a comment that warrants you to kind of react on behalf of what they just said to you, you kind of have to, you must remember that you embody all of these type of, these personalities.
I'm thinking, wow, which one do I pick? There's so many. Being homeless, the daughter of an immigrant, being a migrant worker, victim of domestic violence. And that's the one that I shared, that is very prevalent.
I shared an experience of when I was a little boy, watching people say some very ugly things about my parents. And I wanted to speak up and do stuff, but when I went to do that, my mother would pinch me. I said, no, mijo, no, because she understood the consequences that could happen. But I repressed it. It didn't go away. It just sat there, and the more it happened, it just continued building and building, and I don't want to forget that. Because the other part is that, I have colleagues and friends of mine that have gone through that, but they forget.
There's medicine in pain, and there's medicine in expressing the pain, and there's also privilege in enduring pain. There's lessons that come with that. There's resiliency, there's strength that can come with acknowledging and honoring the depth and the breadth of what it means to be human, and what it means to be in pain, and what it means to as well be empowered.
Being mindful of these invisible wounds is critical to transforming communities.
My hope for you is that we all commit ourselves to this path of being a healer. We can't help others climb out of their despair if we're struggling with our own despair. We can't help empower and build hope if we're drowning in a sea of hopelessness ourselves. It's almost as if you have these metaphorical keys waiting for you in a key ring. One says helper, one says healer, and one says jailer. My hope is that the key you choose is the key that says healer. Thank you very much.
There is collective trauma in our communities, and yet there's also wisdom and strength that comes from having experienced that trauma, and we need that wisdom and strength to help transform our communities. Now that hard work begins, we want people to participate and share their experience with others. We have to figure out how to work with our partners to incorporate this new understanding into the work of transforming and building healthy and sustainable communities. Please join us.